Hello everyone, this is EllieJayLiquid. Welcome back to my channel. So today we will be doing something that's a little bit different. So we will be doing some 2D, mixing it with 3D. So basically we will be creating an animated texture which we can use in Maya. So we will be creating something like, for example, if you had an anime character and you wanted to have the eyes for the character as just textures, instead of actually trying to model them and then setting up blend shapes, we will be using our UVs. So we will be having a couple of different images on our UV map, and we will be kind of scrolling through them depending on the expression we want to have. I will probably just animate a blink with you in Photoshop, which is supposed to be quite easy. We will be using something that's called a Sprite Sheet Generator 6.0, which is one of my favorite plugins for Photoshop. It's really easy to use and it's free, so I will show you where you can get it from and how to use it. But without further ado, let's go and continue with the lesson. Okay, so now that we are in Photoshop, let's actually close this and I will recreate this with you so that you know which texture size I'm going with. So Control-N will create a new canvas for us to work with, and I'm going with 248 by 248 pixels with resolution of 72. So you probably know that most of software will want to use square textures for, if you're working with Unity or if you are working with Maya, it's always a good idea to go with something like this. And I'm just going to click OK, and so I have this white canvas over here, which I'm maybe not necessarily going to use, but it's okay for now. So you can use any brush you want. I think I will be going with my crayons just because they look quite nice. And again, feel free to download whatever brushes you want to use. I just want to lock this layer really quickly. It's good to have something in the background because it might be a little bit easier to see, I suppose. So let's say that we wanted to, create our first image. So I think I will go with maybe 6 or 8 images for the blink. I don't know if I actually want to create any other expressions here. Okay, so potentially you can also work with the smaller size for this, because later on I will probably have to rescale the sprite sheet, which will be generated later on, just because it's going to be such a huge texture. So if you go on the window, there's this timeline that we might use, and usually it should be connected to the bottom of your screen. I think I disconnected it at some stage, so let me just reset it really quickly. Hopefully I can dock it back over there. Oh, cool, awesome. So for this, I will be using my frame animation, so you will have two different options, video timeline and frame animation. Again, just as a disclosure, I'm not a good 2D animator. I never actually studied 2D animation myself, so whatever I know how to do is just because I sort of had to do it for something, like if I'm working on games, sometimes I have to work with this, and Photoshop is the only application I can actually use for that. But let's actually just start. And let's say that this is gonna be my, I don't know, first eye. Cool. Again, nothing fancy at this stage, so you guys can work with whatever you want to work with. And let's say for the next one, I just sort of want to duplicate this, and also I want to kind of redo this a little bit. So if I went with maybe another color, don't know what's gonna look okay and not very annoying. Will this be fine? Maybe. And I also want to kind of have a background for this as well. Maybe we'll set it up later on. It doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, let's just worry about this later on. So pardon me for kind of being a little bit slow with this. Okay, so for the next one, let's go and create another one over here, and I'm actually just going to duplicate this image. Let's call it 2 change the name for this one as well. So one thing for the second one, what I actually want to do is to just use this as my guideline, the first one. In the second one, let's start drawing something that looks like the eye is actually closing. So go into your erase tool. And let's say we go like, oops, not this color for sure. I want to go back to my black. And let's say that we use, cool, something like this. Again, you can spend as much time as you want on making sure that everything looks super pretty. That's not the purpose of this exercise for me, and I just want to show you how to use something. So okay, frame 2 ready. Don't care about anything else. I could actually change this line a little bit, but that's okay. So let's go and create frame 3. Sorry for the background noise. I'm quite close to a pretty busy street. So again, I'm going to duplicate this frame, call it frame 3. And I don't want to see this anymore. I can use this as my reference, change the opacity on this one. And for the third one, so again, I want to erase the top line. And I will have to be a little bit cautious about what's happening over here. Cool. So again, we'll go like this. Oh. Yeah, beautiful. It's so terrible, I can't even tell you how bad I feel at the moment, but it's okay. Let's just not be a perfectionist with this one. So let's say this is our third frame. Again, I can go and create a new one. So fourth will be, kind of going closer to being actually a closed eyes, and I can probably change this a little bit as well for the third one. So we want to duplicate this, rename it, hide my second frame, change the opacity on this one. And for the fourth one, let's just again get rid of this, and we'll probably have to go something like maybe like this. And maybe I'll change this one a little bit as well. So let's do the top one first. Oops. Again, I don't know, it's not the fanciest looking eye I've ever seen in my life, but that's okay. Number 5 will be just a closed eye, I think, but I'm still going to... Actually, I'll just create a new frame this time. And check this, rename this. Change the opacity as well so I can see a little bit better. And now we just want to kind of draw a line where the eye is like closed. Something like this, right? So that's cool. What else can we do with this? I'll probably create a couple of more frames just because I want to populate the texture a little bit better. Maybe let's draw a couple of other expressions, and the other one will be, let's say I'll get rid of those ones, we'll go back to this one. Maybe this one will be the extreme wonder, something like that. So we're in frame 6, we need a new layer, 6, I'm just using again this as my reference, so potentially we can go and change. Okay. And I will be adding white background later on. So maybe I can do this. And for the eye itself, for the outlines, let's go with something quite extreme, like we actually stretched the eye maybe. So from here, and super duper stretched. It's like a very surprised eye. And if you wanted to draw a scared one, you know, you would have to change the size of the pupil, I guess. So this is my frame 6. Another couple more. So let's say we go here and create another frame. Another layer. Don't want this anymore. I'm still using my frame 1 as a reference. So what can we do for this one? Can we do what other eye? Well, let's just create another type of maybe pupil for this one. So we might as well copy my layer 1. But there, it's gonna be called 7. So for this one, I want to change this part a little bit. So maybe it's gonna be like, I don't know, some really awkward looking anime eye. So pretty. Okay, I like this. Fill it in. Amazing, beautiful artwork. Have never seen anything better in my life. Frame 7 is ready, and we'll go and create another one. So I don't know, what can we do for this one? I don't know, something different. Gonna be a very masculine eye this time. And I probably should have copied the previous frame, but it's okay, I'll just go with this now. Maybe I have to give it some more sprinkles. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so this is the time where we have our animations, or well, you can consider them animations. I want to clean them up. So you will see on frame 1 we have this kind of massive heart attack happening. So we can just go in and check the visibility for all of the layers. So this is our frame, layer 1. I'm gonna get rid of the background as well, so that we don't have any background for this. Frame 2, okay, let's take a look what happens here. We want to have our 2 on. If you ever wanted to make them, you know, a little bit more, I guess less transparent, more opaque, you can always just duplicate the layers and merge them together. I don't want to worry about this that much. I know that it's gonna look okay-ish later on. So we'll go this, 3 is this one. And just check that the opacity is set to 100% on all of those frames. Frame 4, go here. Let's take a look. I think that's what we need. Frame 5, turn this on. Frame 6, it's this eye, and you will see that we have frame 1 turned on, so we probably want to get rid of this. 7, 8. Turn this back on, turn this off. So we have this, and you will see that we can actually kind of scroll through all of those. You know, you can change this to play forever, and if you press play, you will see that we're getting some animations, at least for the first couple of frames when the eye is actually closing, and then those are like additional ones, which can be used for something, I don't know for what. So this is the time where we would go and create a sprite sheet out of this. So we will combine all of those images and put them onto one texture. So for those of you who work with creating games, you will be probably familiar with this. So I have this script installed, and it's called Sprite Sheet Generator 06.0. Also, we're now just gonna search for this. This is gonna be our Sprite Sheet Generator 6.0, and hopefully we'll find the link we're looking for. So this is the one that we need. It's on this johnwordsworth.com. If you click on it, it will take you to the link. So you can download it from here, and then we have some installation instructions here as well. So you will see that it's really easy. All we have to do is to extract the file into this program files, Adobe Photoshop, whichever version you might be using, presets and scripts. If everything was installed correctly, once you've restarted your Photoshop, you should be able to see the script in your, if you go on the File Scripts, it's going to be sitting just over here. So once you've installed this, go ahead, reload your Photoshop, come here, click on this, and a little window will pop up. So it looks like this. You will see that you can specify the image size you will be getting. I will just use automatic for now because I think it will work fine. For the source, you have a couple of different options as well. So you can use document root layers, specific layer set. I usually go with my frame animation. That's why I was actually bothering with setting the frames up in the first place. And it's also asking if you want to flatten the image. So do you want to have multiple layers in that new file, or do you want everything to be sitting on one layer? I usually just go with one layer. So if we click OK, you will see that your Photoshop will start freaking out a little bit, so there's all that calculation happening in the background. But what we have now is this image, which looks like this, and this is actually a good example of what I don't like to happen. It decided automatically to not create a square texture for us. So I'm going to close this, say no. So we know that we want to have 4 images in the first row. So if I'm actually going to change the size a little bit so that it's easier for me, image size, hopefully nothing will break. It's just going to be easier for me to calculate. Also, your animations should still work fine. From here, let's try to use the script again. And this time I will go with 4K textures, so I know that one image is 124, meaning that 4K will be good for us. So click OK. And this time we're forcing it to create a square texture for us. Yeah, that's cool, that's awesome, and you still have a lot of space you can use for something else. You know, it's Maya, so if you have that free space, you might as well just use it for something nice and cool. So another thing I want to do here is to actually color in my back elements, whatever that's called. Want to have a background so that we have whites for the eyes. So I'll go and create this nice little color to begin with. And on this layer, I will color the whites in. So again, I'm not going to be very specific about how I do it. I just want to have something that looks okay. So again, we could have done it in the previous file. For me, it was easier not to bother there. And I'll just do it here instead. Cool, so we have this one. And this one. And this one. Oh no, went outside. Let's fix this. So this. I think it might be getting a little bit darker, so I'll have to put some additional lights on once I've done this. Cool, we don't need anything here. Cool. So you will see this is why I created that hole in the pupil before, just to have that sprinkle. I think I called it sprinkle before, which is just great. Do you have any sprinkles in your eye? In either of them? Probably not. Okay, so we'll go here. This is the last one. Really quickly color this in. Okay, beautiful. So once we've done that, hopefully it will not crash. I'm just trying to zoom out a little bit. Let's get rid of this background. So we will be using this as our color, and we will also be using this as our mask for the opacity, but we will have to change something a little bit. So as far as I know, Arnold doesn't like working with PNGs, so I will be using TIFFs. I know that TIFFs work. I haven't confirmed that PNGs are not actually, or they do not actually work, okay? So I don't want you to trust me on this. If you want, you can try out and use PNGs instead of TIFFs and just let me know if it worked for you or not. For now, I will go with TIFFs, right? Okay. So let's save this first file. So this will be our color. We'll go into my, I guess, just Photoshop projects. You will see that I have a couple of tests set up here. So TIFF, and let's call this eye test, and we'll just go with O2 because why not? And let's call this diffuse or color, and we'll save this. To be honest, I have no idea what this thing is. I assume that it doesn't really matter what we use for image compression. It works just fine if you keep it as it is. I want to save the transparency. Just in case, doesn't really matter because we will be using a mask. Yeah, that's fine, that's cool. Pixel order, byte order, no idea, but I want to discard the layers because apparently it saves a little bit of information or a little bit of memory. So we'll go and we will press OK. So this is one file, but we need something for the transparency as well. And for that we will be creating a black and white mask. So all the elements that we want to see will be white, and whatever we want to be transparent will be black, right? So we'll do that really quickly. I want to merge those two together now, so merge down, create another layer, make it black. And now you will see that we have a little bit of a problem here, meaning that we have black elements and we don't want them to be transparent. So what we will have to do is to create another layer and apply it to my layer 2 by pressing Alt and clicking. You'll see that there's this little icon that appears. So now I'm just going to fill this top layer with white color. Cool, so this is pretty much what we're getting. Again, a little bit iffy just because of how I created those images, but that should be fine. If I want, I could even do something like duplicate both of those, and that will probably make it look better. I assume we might have a little bit of artifacting in Maya because I've done that, but we'll just see what happens. You know, we can always go back and change this. So we'll go on Control-Shift-S this and call this the same thing, but this will be my, let's call it mask again. Cool, same thing as before. Oops. Okay, so we've done that. We're pretty happy. We're good to go. Open up your Maya. We'll start setting this up. Okay, so we are in Maya now, and we can start creating our well, I guess character. It's not really going to be a character, it's just going to be a sphere for the head, and a little bit of some floating geometry on top of it, or in front of it. I'm just going to put this on a new layer and reference this in so I don't have to accidentally touch it into something with it. And I will be using just a simple plane, so let me just drag it out. I don't need all of those edges in here, so I can go into the inputs, change this to 1, rotate it 90 degrees, put it somewhere where it makes sense. So I guess it's going to be a one-eyed character for now. I suppose it can be somewhere around here, maybe. So what I want to mention is that once everything is set up, you can actually shape this a little bit better, so you can add more supporting edges, more supporting geometry, and you can, you know, make it a little bit sort of like grab this and, you know, shape it just a little bit nicer. I will just go with a flat plane, so I don't really care that much about what it's going to look like. Just wanted to show you how to use this. Just let's call it left eye or something like that. So you will see that by default we're pretty lucky because we already have a nice looking UV shell sitting here, just waiting for us to do something. It's quite cool. We will be changing it a little bit later on. So let's go into Hypershade. And over here we want to create a new material, so I will be just using Arnold. You will see that I'm using previous version of Maya 2017, so I don't have AI standard surface, I think it's called, for 2018 versions. So I'm just gonna go with this one for now. I'll rename it. Cool. So we should be able to start connecting our map. So click here and go with file option. Let's find our file. For me it's going to be sitting somewhere on my computer over here. So I'm looking for my diffuse map. Cool. I think it even recognized the transparency this time, which rarely happens. I cannot confirm though just yet. It looks like, no, I don't think it's connected. So we've done that. Now let's scroll down a little bit, and we're looking for this opacity. So we want to connect our mask into this slot. Again, file. Let's search for this. Cool. That should be pretty good. So what we will use for our UV magic will be our place 2D nodes over here. So for now, let's just minimize this and apply this to our little plane over here. So right click, assign material. Can't really see anything, so I'm gonna press 6. And now I can see all of my little eyes over here. Don't really want all of them. So there's a couple of things we need to do for the transparency to actually work. First of all, let's change this to, if I can find this. Cool, so for the left eye shape, if you go under Arnold, we don't want to have opaque turned on or self shadows. None of that. So that should be good, and I'm just taking a look if I'm forgetting anything. Object display, render stats. I don't really want this to be casting any shadows either. I don't know if we want to receive shadows on that stuff. Maybe not. Okay, so we've done that. And now I just want to do a quick test render to see if it's actually working or not. So I assume that if we render this out, we should be able to see some eyes without the black texture, but you know that with Arnold we can't really render anything unless we have some sort of a light in the scene. So we'll create a directional light, drag it out, set it up something like this. And now I just want to maximize like so. And let's just see if it's gonna work or not. Click on the eye icon, render current. So really cool. Okay, so that part is set up and it's working. I'll just uncheck this. Okay, so what don't we need? We can hide this a little bit. The next step for us will be to set up the actual, I guess, size of this. Okay, so I had to look up something for the UV editor. I've never really used the UV toolkit that much, so it's a little bit of a frustrating experience for me using it. So if you set up the scale closer to the bottom of this list, you'll have to find it to 0.25. So you kind of just have to divide 1 by how many columns you have here, so by 4, which will give you this, and click here. So this is a good size, and now we need to figure out how to move it so that it starts from this square over here. So you will find under the move there are some buttons we can use, and this time I'm kind of dividing 1 by 8, so it should give us an option to snap properly to the left side, and hopefully we can do the same for the top. So this is where we want the texture to be when we start moving it, and this is what kind of size we want to have for this UV shell as well. So I think I'm pretty happy with this setup. Let's minimize it. And this actually seems to be working. If you don't see anything, you might have to switch from viewport to your legacy. Okay, so this is kind of the first part done, and I want to render it out really quickly, just in case. Okay, that seems to be working fine. We can close this for now. So now we have to set up some sort of a control. So I will be using set-driven keys for this one, and I will create a very simple control curve over here, which I will sort of grab, move out, rotate 90 degrees. I can't see anything, so just say it was sitting somewhere over here. Maybe put it in front of the eye. It doesn't really matter where you position it for now, you know, it's just like a little bit of a showcase for us. Normally you would want to set up something that looks a little bit nicer for the controller as well. Should be easy to set to select. And I want to grab this, change the name, so this is my left eye controller. So if you wanted to have another eye, you would have to kind of recreate the same thing for the other one. And let's go back, delete history, freeze transform, so you will see that I have them on my shelf, and you can also find them under edit, delete by type history, modify freeze transformations. If you want to put something on your shelf, it's Control Shift and click on the item, pull it here, and then you can, right click and delete if you don't need it. Cool, okay. So what I want to do for this one, I want to create a custom attribute. Move out of the way. And I don't really, I guess I don't want to worry about scale for this one and the visibility, so I can hide those ones. Right click, lock and hide. I don't mind having the other ones. But we shall go under edit and add attribute. We'll just call it expressions. For the name, we'll have an integer, not a float, so I just want to go with whole numbers. Default will be my 1, just because I don't want to work with 0 for this one. Minimum is 1, and how many do we have? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, right? So we have 8. I hope I'm not messing anything up. And let's click add and close. You will see that we have this expression, and if I middle mouse click and kind of scroll, you will see that we can switch between them. So we have like 2 and all the other numbers, and it will default back to 1 even if you put 0. So it's one part of this, and now we just need to connect this to our place to 2D nodes. So let's go under the animation menu. Let's find this key, set driven key, and set. So we know for sure that this controller is our driver, so we can click on load driver. We have those expressions here, which we will be working with as the driving element. And we also need to load our driven, which can be a little bit hard to find. Just close this really quickly. So we want to go back to our hypershade, and if I click on my eye material, you will see that in the channel box under the inputs we have this place 2D texture 1 and place 2D texture 2, so I want to grab both of those if it lets me. If it doesn't let me, I might have to hunt for them somewhere else, and we'll try to find them in our general editors, and we'll go with connections or hierarchy. I don't remember which one. Let's go with connections. If we can't find them there, we'll find them somewhere else. Okay, so with the material selected, I seem to have those two. Let's see if I can select both of them and load them. Cool, yeah, that's exactly what we want, so we want both of those files to move together. And I can close this. Okay, so for this one, I think we have to be in the legacy default viewport just to be able to see the change on the screen. Viewport 2.0 will probably not show it to us, unless it's gonna break like this, which is okay. It happens sometimes, so don't get super discouraged. Okay, let's go with viewport for now. I know that we probably won't be able to see anything happen here on the screen, which can be annoying. So if this happens to you, try reloading Maya. I'm not sure if I will have to do this or if I'm just gonna really quickly do this sort of by eye and thinking that I know what I'm doing. And let's close this again, don't want those ones. So I know that the value that we will be working with is actually going to be called translate frame U and translate frame V. And U is our horizontal movement, V is the vertical one. So for the expressions, expression number 1 is this one, right? So we want to go into the driven, click on the texture 1, texture 2, I'm not sure if we can do it to both of them, let's just try. Let's key. Cool, so now you will see that those ones have an incoming connection. On frame 2, I will want to move it to the right, and this is where it will be hard for me to figure out which way I'm going to. So we'll have to click on the eye controller here, and in the expressions I want to change this to my second expression. And for those two, we don't want to worry about our vertical one, so we can key this, it will stay on the same vertical position. So let's key, but it will be different for this position. So for this position we kind of want it to go to, I think it's gonna be negative 0.25, but I will have to kind of confirm this through my render because I can't see anything on the screen. For you guys, if you are working in Legacy and it's actually showing you the texture, you should be able to see the difference on the screen. So I hope that for you it will be nice and easy. Okay, so now it seems to be working. You'll see that Maya is a little bit funky sometimes. So let's actually click on translate frame U, and I will just try and move it. So I know that I need to be moving to this side. So this is roughly where it needs to be. And I know because we are working with you know, our 0 to 1 space, we have 4 images, meaning that we need to divide 1 by 4, so it's 0.25 is the correct number, and this should be good. I have those two selected, and this is selected, so I hope that it will key it for both of them. So we'll just click key. And let's do a quick test. I just hope that if we're not getting any errors, it means that everything is fine. It seems to be good. I will close this, so now we need to continue. The next frame will be negative 0.5, but we need to change the expression number first. So we'll go, this is going to be our third expression. And again, if you remember, we need to key our V first. So it's going to be set to 0. And for this one, it will be this. And we'll key this. And then we'll do the same for the next frame. So we'll click on this again, switch to 4. Again, key the vertical one first. Key. And then we'll key the horizontal one. So I reckon this should work. And key. Okay, so the next one is going to be a little bit more complicated because we will need a new value for our vertical. So click on this and go into your 5. So we know that our horizontal will need to go back to 0, which we will do. So click on those ones. Horizontal goes back to 0. Vertical, this is where we need to kind of figure out if we're going negative or positive. So we need to go like, oops, can't really see it. It's not showing up properly. Well, let's take a look at this. Ah, okay, that should be fine. We can't see anything because it's a closed frame. Should be good. Cool, so those are selected, this is fine, and let's just key. So now the vertical won't change, we can go with our value that we currently set up. Cool, so it's 0.25. The next one, again click here, go to expression number 6. We know that the vertical doesn't change anymore, but just in case, let's go here and let's key this, and then let's key this thing. So this thing will be set to this value, as far as I understand. Yep. Cool, that looks correct, and we go on key. And the next one, again, click here, change this to 7. Click on both of those. Select this. Should be at 0.25, so key. And this one will be at 0.5. Negative. Key. Good. And we have, I think, one last, which we'll have to set up. So again, vertical should be good to go, and then horizontal is negative 0.75 this time. Key. Now let's just see what happens if we connected everything correctly. We should be able to change this. I'm going to scroll, so I'm pressing and holding middle mouse button and scrolling on the screen. And one of the frames, you know, it's black, so we can't really see anything for one of them. That's the one. unless we speed something up a little bit. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think the 5 didn't work out. Let's actually check it. So on 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 needs to be this one. Click here. Let's just check what's happening for the 5. 0.5. And this should be sitting at 0. So I think I might have done something with this key. Right, okay. Let's take a look at number 6. Is this correct? Yes, okay. What about number 7? Number 7 looks fine. Oops. 7. And the last one. Yep. Okay, so now everything seems to be fixed and working. So we can just close everything. I don't think we will need this, but maybe we will. And let's say, so this is the basic setup, right? So now it means that we can start animating on those. So if we wanted to animate a blink, we could. All we have to do is to use our controller to set up different expressions. So let's try it out. So over here, we'll start with number 1 for the expression. And you can either go key selected here, or you can just press S, but S will also key the rest of those ones. So next frame, go to expression number 2. Next frame, you will see that I have my auto key on, so it will start keying those automatically. 3. Next frame, 4. Next frame is 5, and then we can go backwards. So we'll say we could hold this frame, you know, if you were actually rendering this, but I just want to see if it actually works or not. So 6. Oops, I actually want to go backwards. So 4, 3, 2, and 1. Right, so that's all good. And the last thing that you want to do is to just make sure that it's rendering okay on the screen. So let's say we go like this, a little bit closer, and let's render this out. That's another important thing, right, to confirm that we didn't screw up our transparency. So this looks fine. I'm going to save this image. Go to the next frame. I don't want to be taking any batch renders with this one, just because why? I can do it here, and it's just for a test. 2, going okay. 4. And I'm not gonna finish it off, and just let's do 4 and let's do the next one. So keep this image, go here, render, that will render fine. Okay. So you can see that, let me just get rid of this one. With our 2D animation happening in the 3D space. It looks quite nice, and of course if you wanted, you could add more edges, as I mentioned before, and you can have a similar setup for the other eye. You probably want to have it set up separately, so you can't really, unless you have a script for this, you can't really transfer all of the work we've done for this eye to the other one. Plus you want to have separate control over them to offset the animation a little bit, you know, so that your character doesn't blink at the same time. You usually, you know, would have like a little bit of a difference just to have that asymmetry going for your character. It's always nice to have that. But that's basically it. That's the basic setup you would want to have for something like a 2D animated texture in Maya. So leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you next time.